Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa, a conservative leaning podcast, but I do take both sides of facts to make my opinion. Now, apologize. The cold and allergy that will just not go away. So I'll be sniffling here today and hopefully not coughing or anything. But today I'm going to be addressing, again, the Democrats completely have gone mad. You have Minority Speaker Jeffries from the House of Representatives, Democrat from New York, who is suggesting that Virginia should remove their Supreme Court justices, fire them. And this way, there's no challenge to their illegally processed redistricting vote. And I say that it was, by their constitution, was not done correctly. Not that they could not have done it. And then if it had been done correctly, that's what the state agrees to. That's what happens. Don't like it. I guess you could go up the ladder. But I would believe that would not go anywhere. So the Democrats, who all scream about fascism and Trump trying to eradicate democracy, what does Jeffries and the Democrats suggest to do? Wipe out the rule of law. I mean, this is how crazy the Democrats have gotten. This is how off the rails they are. And I'm going to say this. You could stack it any way you want. I'm going to guarantee that both houses stay red after November. There is not a chance, as of today, of the Democrats being able to do anything. They are just so headstrong to go down low. Not an idea out of these people's heads to say how they're going to help people, how they're going to help citizens. Oh, they have plenty of ideas to help illegals. Plenty of ideas there. Plenty, Any ideas to help the people that are voting? Nope. Oh, they'll promise you, we're gonna eliminate your, school bills. Which some of it the president could do through executive order, and I agree with that. That Biden was allowed. I mean, let's to do certain things, and President Trump could step in and repen that, which he did, which he's allowed to do, and then take it to the courts to say, was it legal in the first place? I think the Democrats are totally just never recovered from the beginning of 2024. Or actually, it was 2023 when they said that Biden could seek a second term. I at that point, Harris wasn't the one that, they would have picked. But, Joe wasn't going anywhere, and he kind of forced and strong-armed the DNC into allowing him to run a second term, which was a complete disaster. And the Democrats just went downhill from there. And then, of course, when they had to, and they had to support Joe Biden, oh, he's great, he's wonderful, he's the picture of health, he is as sharp as he ever was. Well, he was never really sharp, so I couldn't say that they were lying, but to say that he was not having issues to do with his mental health, and through no fault of his, absolutely through no fault of his. This was just, age. And some people age and they are just as sharp as they ever were. Donald Trump. I mean, hey, he's old. He's old. But Donald Trump. Senator Kennedy. I mean, Bernie Sanders. They're sharp. Nothing wrong with them, mentally to go out there and do their job that they're elected to do. So the Democrats now, though, have gone so far off the page. There's no getting back on that page. You have Schumer out there defunding, everything, and anything that has to do with the police, anything that has to do with ICE, anything that has to do with border protection. Schumer's out there, no, we must protect. Protect who? Who are you protecting? It's lies. Mom Downey, in New York, lies. Johnson, Chicago, lies. Absolute lies out of all these people. Pritzker. Another one that, lies. Newsom, forget Newsom, he's just outright lies. And they go to the media, and the media again, yeah, we're going to win. The Democrats, and there's people even in the liberal media going, I don't see those numbers that you guys are seeing. The Democrats are in trouble. And you got, no, we're not in trouble. And I said it before, it's like the Titanic, telling the passengers, we're just stopping to pick up some ice, that's all. Relax, everything's okay. And it isn't. And when you ask Democrats for a plan, they don't have a plan. We must get back on, the America back. Okay, how? What are you going to do? Well, we got to get rid of Trump. Okay, you get rid of Trump. Now, what are you going to do? You get rid of Trump. Well, J.D. Vance becomes president. What do you think? Give me your plans. What are you going to do? And you just can't get it. You just can't get their plan. Well, we're going to reverse everything that Donald Trump has done. Well, wait a second. That was stuff that he promised to do, and that's what the people elected him to do. So you want to go back to the what you guys were doing that we voted you out for? Wow, that is some logic, Democrats. And I just can't see what you're doing. I just can't see how the Democrats think they'll be able to do what they hope to do. It doesn't make sense. It's not viable. It's not doable. Yeah. And they're screaming about the Democrats screaming about the Supreme Court. That every Supreme Court had people on it that one side or the other, oh, it's going to be the end. It's the worst thing that could happen. We're all still here. And there were a lot of things that the Supreme Court needed to look at. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. And the Supreme Court has done a pretty good job of addressing issues that are brought in front of it. Of course, the biggest one now that will be coming up will be the 14th Amendment birthrights, which, I think they could have done last September. But, because now, to be honest with you, as I always am, if they were to do it now and side with Trump, and they're not siding with Trump. Trump is saying, I want to hear it from you guys. Because you have to look at this, the Democrats and some Republicans, that either way, if the Supreme Court goes for what the current administration is saying about birthrights, Trump wins. If the Supreme Court goes against what the administration has said, Trump's not hurt because everything stays the way it is. And Trump can go, hey, we took it to the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court made a horrible decision, blah, 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 blah. But he goes, I took it there. They didn't agree. There you go. But we're still going to deport the parents. And if they want to leave their children here, they could leave their children here. If they want to take their children with them, they're more than welcome to take their children with them back to whatever country they illegally left from to come here. And when their children turn 18, they can come back. But parents can't. So I think that has to be a win-win for Trump. And I don't know how the Democrats are going to handle it. I mean, I'm sure if the Supreme Court would come out and say, birthrights, are not a given, and they were just to address the issue of slaves and those children born to slaves. And that's really what it really was. If you really read the 14th, the sponsors of the 14th Amendment, you could see what they had and what the idea was and why. So to me, it's not a hard, saying, nope, there's no way it could ever happen, because there is a way. Intent And you can't use actions that happened in the past practice if it should not have happened. Well, the past practice, you know, should not have happened. Though you could say the court had ruled on it, on the past practice, on more than one occasion, on the 14th Amendment, in the cases of birthright. It's been challenged before, but not to the extent it was per an individual, not a class of people. And so this is big stuff. And the Democrats who are fighting against voter ID know that if the Democrats are able to win the 14th Amendment argument and the courts keep everything the same, that voter ID will become even more of a pressing issue. And the SAVE Act, it will be shown why it needs to be there. Because now you could have, it was always the parents decided, when they came over, it was the parents with the children, and they became citizens via the parents. And now it's parents becoming citizens via the children, which was never the intent. The intent was parents and then their children. That was what the intent of the 14th Amendment was really about when it came to all children born. And that was, strictly speaking, about slavery. So I think that it's not even 50-50. It's not 50-50, hey, it might go this way, it might go that way. I think it will be very close. I don't think it's going to be 6-3. But you don't know. But the Democrats are going insane. You have, like I said, Jeffries running around. He got on the other night and said, we're going to bury the Republicans. We're going to bury them. After, another speech, well, I'm going to use foot soldiers to take the government back and democracy. This guy is ratcheting it up. And someone needs to really get a hold of him and go, hey, pal, you're going to hurt all of us here. Use other words. Don't use those words. Don't use those words. And he can't help himself. He knows he's going to be replaced. He got up there and said how Virginia was well within their state constitutional rights to act the way they acted. Yes, if you had followed all the prerequisites to the redistricting vote, absolutely. But they didn't. And Jeffries is up there going, oh, no, they did. With complete confidence that the state Supreme Court's going to rule in our favor. And the state Supreme Court said, no, you violated that. And there's no going back. The state Supreme Court is as high as the state could go. That's it. Decision made. Now, you could ask to revisit that. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But really, Virginia can spin their wheels all they want. It's just not going to happen. They spent, I don't know, some people said, $32 million. Some people say $56 million in trying to shove this down to get a vote. And, Spanberg, another one, the governor, idiot. They think they can act, with impunity, and they can't. They can't. They'll get. They can't. Now, Alabama and Tennessee and these other states that have fulfilled their obligation under their constitution, those states can redistrict. I'm not a fan of redistricting in the sense that you could do that mid-course, every 10 years, We need a census that says, you have to be a citizen. You could put your name in the census and no problem. But if you can't check that citizen box, then as far as House of Representatives federally, can't use that. You can't use those lines. And, then that also falls into for, state Congress people, not senators, but state Congress people. In the legislature, just, in their House of Representatives. So it gets tricky on a lot of points, and this was always a tool that was used by the Democrats, in New York and California, a lot of you just go through it, and it was all to secure more seats and more Democrats into the seats. They just broke the districts up by race. Can't do that. So, and again, I don't know how you could make, say, well, now it's from this boundary to this boundary. When and how? And I get it, and it is certainly something that, you could argue over. But that's the way it's set up. And like I said, I'm not a fan of it for either party using it because it only comes back to bite you. It comes back to bite you. And it has. And it will. All the redistricting is only going to be to the advantage of the Republicans. And Democrats, you open that door. And you're going to be screaming and crying and carrying on. And what are you going to be able to do about it? Nothing. And like I said, just hating Trump is not going to get you over that finish line. Not going to get you over that finish line. And, And again, when you hear like the first thing we're going to do is impeach Trump, and you go, well, how about maybe repealing the gasoline tax for a while, or maybe finding out how you could help us. Oh, will that be helping you? No, that's helping you. That's not helping us. So the Democrats have brought nothing to the plate except rights for people that should not be here. There you go. And I think a lot of the minority voters are seeing that. So, very foolish Democrats. So that's 26 minutes of me speaking on that. What I would like to speak on also is, of course, President Trump has turned down the Iranian proposal. And how surprising. Because if it didn't contain everything that President Trump wanted, he's not agreeing to it. He doesn't have to agree to it. And what did Iran fall into doing? If you attack us, we will continue our exploration of upgrading nuclear material into weapons grade, and we will pursue an atomic weapon. So everything that Trump has said leading him to attack Iran, Iran just proved exactly what Trump was saying and worried about, is that if we don't take away their nuclear capability, they will pursue a nuclear weapon. And then we'll have to deal with a nuclear weaponed Iran. Now, we might be able, they shoot off 50 rockets, we intercept 44 of them. Well, 6 countries are going to have a bad day. And it could be us, too. Every president has said a non-nuclear Iran, but they also said a non-nuclear North Korea, and look what we're dealing with North Korea. So, no, Iran just proved why President Trump is taking such a hard stand. Because they can't have nuclear. They can't have anything nuclear. And you could say, well, you can't stop the knowledge. I agree with that. I agree, you can't stop the knowledge. But you could put people to monitor it and go, the minute it starts, we're going to ratchet you right down. And, we're going to be policing it. And then hopefully, over time, you get a more peaceful and stable Iran, and that's not an issue for them. So the idea that, Iran never had the idea of a nuclear weapon, they always had the idea for a nuclear weapon. They just didn't have the stomach to do it. But they had the capability, and now they said they'll do it. And you're going to say, well, you pushed them towards that. No, they were going towards that. They've always been going for it. They've been, using their hand over here and waving it like this so you didn't see what the other hand was doing. And we knew it. Israel knew it. England knew it. Spain knew it. France knew it. They all had intelligence services on the ground, and they knew what was going on. They knew. And Iran, they go, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, there you go. So, this is going to drag on. We knew it. And the gas prices, and they go, look what's happened, the inflation, the gas price. Yeah, we knew this was going to happen. Anyone knew that even though we don't get our oil from the Middle East, it will be a problem for us here in the United States as far as getting, paying for fuel, not having it. Remember, when OPEC shut us down, we didn't have the oil coming in, and now we have all the oil we want. It's just you're going to have to pay for it. And our second big problem is we don't have the refineries here anymore that can produce at a level for our supply. And you have states like California that don't allow gas to be produced in their state anymore, nor do they allow it to be shipped in or piped in or whatever. So you can't ship it from Louisiana by boat over. It's not allowed. And they get theirs from Asia. Yeah. The majority of their gas they got to import their gas. It's the biggest boondoggle. And, of course, all these refineries now moved out of California, as many businesses have. And I said it before, New York and California being the worst for business climate, New York being second. And not all blue states are that way. Virginia came in out of the 50, came in number 10. So not every state is horrible. New Jersey is up there as being, in like the 45th or something worst state to do business in. And, Texas and Florida and all the other, 8 out of the 10 best places to do business are in red states. 8 out of the 10. Out of the bottom 20, I think 16 of them are blue states. So these are states that believe in, over-regulation, over-taxation of industry and companies, to the point where they go, we're not going to do business in those states. We're shutting down, moving it. And, that those jobs are gone. And they go, well, there's lots of talent here, people. No, those people that have talent are going to go with those companies. Those people that do not have the talent that is transferable, meaning, again, it's not taking anything away from people. It's just stating what the facts are. I can get a clerical person that does the same job in Texas that did in New Jersey. Same thing. Now, those people that were doing that job in New Jersey certainly have a leg up on these people as far as I know what's needed. I know the job. I get that. But it isn't that they can't learn within a year what that job was. And these companies are willing to take that risk. Or they bring enough of those clerical people over with them to go, eventually the other people will catch on, and these will be people that can show them, and you know. But I don't have to bring 100% of them. I could just bring 10% of them. So, again, Democrats, man, you have to come up with a game plan. And it just can't be, I hate Trump, we hate ICE, open borders. That did not get you elected in 2024. It's not going to get you elected in 2026. It's just not going to happen. And you're going to say, well, one was a national election. No, you lost houses. You lost the houses. Not going to happen, folks. And with your ridiculousness of trying to get seats by redistricting has backfired on you. And you're going to lose seats that you had in Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. And you're not going to make them up in California. There's some places where you might be able to make it up, but you won't be able to. And you'll lose the House again going into a presidential election. Pal, you don't have a chance. And you have no plan. You have nothing. Instead of working somewhat with the administration and, getting, okay, President Trump, we know what you want to do. But, and we'll help you get there. But you can go out and say, I want 90% of these people gone. Go out there, say that. I have no problem with you standing up and doing that. But we're going to come in and we're going to get that number down to 30%. You're going to get your changes and savings, and we're going to get to say that we saved, X amount of percent that you wanted to go. We, as Democrats, stopped that. We prevented that. Yes, the president got some of what he wanted, and we got to preserve what we could. Because otherwise, if we couldn't do it, 90% of those people were going to be gone. And now only 30% of those people are gone, and we got it through attrition and buyouts and, made it as comfortable as possible. Would they have taken that step, Trump being the deal maker, would have jumped all over that in his first year. And, he would have said, hey, I've always wanted to work with, the other team. And when we can, the song comes out beautiful. And he could get up there and he could ride that wave. And the Democrats could have, all right, we could fight the real other issues. But the Democrats were so entrenched between Biden and Obama eras that they couldn't. The lies, the stealing, they couldn't get away from that. They needed one more turn in office to bury it, cement it, make their wall, and then this stuff would just gone away. Trump stopped them in the first election. And then Biden hobbled them. And then Trump winning the primaries for the Republican nomination. Hands down. I mean, it wasn't even a contest. And then came back and won the election. and then won the House. Jeez. That's some wake-up call for the Democrats. And yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's close. Hey, they didn't win by much, but they won. They won. In the Senate, yeah, they're going to hold on to the Senate. You got people going, well, they might not hold on to the House. I tell you, there's a damn good chance they're going to hold on to the House, if not even add seats. And I said this before. I said, I was making predictions on some of it. And then when all this redistricting happened, I got to stop because the map has changed. And the database and stuff that I was using, that I developed myself through the good folks at Microsoft programs, I was able to, for the last many years, was able to say who was going to win and get darn close to the numbers that I thought would win. The difference was, in the 2020 election, where did those 30 million votes come from? Where were they for Obama? Where were they, and where were they after, Trump Biden? Where did those numbers? What happened to those numbers? And, of course, it was fraud. It was fraud. The 30 million votes just don't get up and leave. You might have had, 8 million less votes than that. What happened? That's a huge amount. Huge amount. And it can only be because of fraud. And you got the smug, they say, prove it because we controlled all those records and you're never getting them in those states. Well, that might change, folks. And it's not going to make a difference. Nothing's going to make a difference other than the fact they're going to go, you guys lied. And you'll have people up there go, they might have lied. They might have. I don't know. But could they have? Yeah, but I wasn't part of that. That wasn't me. I had nothing to do with the election back then or anything. And they'll wiggle their way out of it. And, Trump's being fought with on, getting that information out there. And I'm sure the FBI would love to release that information, and they're being held back because, that has to go through the Department of Justice. And, you don't want the FBI to end up working independently or, it gets tricky. All right, I'm going to end this. This is 44 minutes. I am not going to put up any commentary other than my opening, say what date it is and some other things, and then I'm just pushing it right out the door. I haven't been feeling good the last week. That's why I have not done a show. And there's just so much fluidness going on that I couldn't I couldn't get there. I would not have been able to do all the research I needed to go into numbers and things like that. I just was not up to doing that. All right, everyone, be safe. Please give to a charity and make sure it's a charity of your choice. and a real charity. Don't become a victim helping a victim. If you're not interested in that, doing it that way, please think about giving to a food bank. And they need food and they need money so they can help people immediately as they see fit. It's a great cause, and you're helping people locally where you could make a big difference. Say a prayer. Prayer does work. And don't let a Democrat tell you that prayer doesn't work. And with that, I'm going to say later, I know for a fact I will not be doing any show tonight. As a matter of fact, it's almost 12 noon now, and the minute I can get this thing out the door, I'm taking a nap, calling it a day. All right, everyone, be safe, be good, as I fade to black.